30 lap times we saw.
And it looks a little flat from our graphic, but the one thing that stands out, of course, there is some undulation, there is some movement up towards Lukey Heights and so on. Bit of a roller coaster in some respects.
Absolutely, and what was interesting this morning is lots of our drivers have driven these cars here in dry conditions, but not so much wet. So it was a bit of a learning experience for them in those conditions. But now we're back to a bit more of a level playing field as well. So that will create a bit of a dynamic on this first lap, where there's some drivers who feel like they've probably not qualified as well as they should have, trying to work their way forward.
I want to say g'day to Marcus Armstrong too, the IndyCar driver, if he's watching in the United States. His dad, Rick, has qualified on the front row for Continental Cars alongside Ernst Kirschmeier. Antoine Gattani carries the #1. What will the champion do in this race? Now, Adnan Sibai out of position #4. That was something we didn't see a massive amount of him in terms of track activity in our qualifying coverage this morning, but he really made a statement getting that car on the second row of the grid. Enzo Cheng steps up from what we know as the copper shell class to Trofeo Pirelli this year, and he is going to be one to watch in this race. Highlight the same thing for Jim Pollicina. Lots of racing experience in all sorts of classes and well versed with these cars. So Amel Norton, who we were speaking with before there, qualifying on pole for the copper shell class. And we have some fondness, as you can see at the very back of the field here, for the older generation 488s as well, and they have their own class that they'll battle for. You'll enjoy the sounds of those cars. So if you've not seen this class before, we had a brilliant first season. It's expanded in terms of the volume of cars. We've got some Kiwis that are taking part in it, for example, Renato, and the interest globally. I mean, it's a class, for example, if you enjoy racing here at the island and it goes well for you, you could play in other circuits around the world, other events.
Exactly what our pole sitter has done, Ernst. He's raced all through Europe with our series, and he's wanted to tick the box of racing in Australia, Bathurst, Phillip Island, and here he is on the front row of the grid. So our guys have got the same opportunity to do that in the other parts of the world.
Incidentally, hearing via my buddy Richard Crail that Marcus Armstrong 9th in that practice session for IndyCar there before too. So
maybe Dad's got some pointers for him.
Maybe Dad. They had some fun over some of those too. So I think the pointers were going the other way, Renato. So, all right, we're all bunched up here. Lovely crowd here. The festival, the GT Festival, honestly brings some great car lovers out to enjoy this sort of stuff, and we're underway in racing.
Rick's got a great jump there on the outside and crowding him towards the inside into turn 1.
Down they go, and it's deep, really deep, in fact, at Dewan Corner, and that's worked in favour of Rick Armstrong. Ernst, I think, just got a little too hungry for Zagami Autosport down there, perhaps fearing the pressure being applied from Rick Armstrong. He's got the lead, Rick.
And these cars as well are now on an absolutely brand new tyre. Normally they would start race 1 from a run-in slick, but because qualifying 1 was all wet, these are brand new tyres. So I think maybe also caught out a little bit there by tyre temperature and just not bringing that tyre up quick enough for the start.
Pollicina is ahead of Enzo Cheng, so Enzo's dropped to 6th place there, and maybe even feeling a little bit of pressure from the leader in Copper Shell. Norton, I think, running right there with him, doing a good job at present.
Yeah, that's a fantastic effort by Amel. I mean, he's obviously in a separate class to where Enzo's at, but he's still been very, very quick. The man on the screen there, David Trewern, though, has got a point to prove. He feels like he probably didn't get enough out of the car in qualifying, and he'll probably try and stay on the back of Amel to keep the pressure on for this 30-minute race. He's
another one who's been a kind of Ferrari, stalwart's not the right word, but he's been a part of the game, hasn't he? So down the inside.
That's Enzo might have a sneak through there coming out of turn 11 as well. That was just Adnan caught a little bit wide. They're probably watching his mirrors a bit too much there, but coming back to David Trewern, someone who puts a lot of effort in outside of this. We just saw young Lockie Manif on the podium in GT4 as well, his coach for the series. So Lockie's got the champagne, got the trophy, and then run to the pits to put the headset on to coach David for this race.
That's exactly right. So across the line there, that's the 88 Sibai, who we were talking about before, but Rick Armstrong already has a 1.6 second lead over Ernst Kirschmeier, and let's see what Ernst is able to do. Just settle everything down. When you have a little moment like that at turn 1, cold tyres and so on, what's the kind of radio messages that are coming from Zagami?
Well, I used to say I don't want to do that again. For a start, it's a no-holds-barred sort of corner there, turn 1. They're coming in at over 270 kilometres per hour into that corner. Obviously off the start a little bit less, but I'd say it's probably just to try and calm him back down. It's a 30-minute race. There's plenty of things that can go wrong there. And probably the main thing is these lead big guys are fast enough that they will start catching lap traffic sort of between the sort of mid to end part of the race. So if he can at least hold on, the lap traffic might play a bit of an opportunity for him to sort of catch that margin back up without having to use the tyre to do so.
I don't know what card you played for this, but this morning the visibility for some of the other categories was just almost zero. It was so damp and so on. It's beautiful here at the moment, isn't it? So...
I mean, Phillip Island really does turn it on or off for you, and this morning it probably couldn't have got any worse for us in terms of cold, windy and rainy, but everybody got through cleanly and did a really good effort in qualifying. But I think we're being rewarded with that now with this beautiful sunshine and weather.
Most definitely. Here's Enzo Cheng for MC Corsa. What's the kind of feedback that's been coming from that garage there? Ultra competitive guy. It was, when you look at the differences in lap times in qualifying, it was ultra close between the top three, but third for him is not something that sits comfortably with Antoine Gattani, is it?
No, that's right. I mean, he always wants to be the quickest man out there and on the top step. Probably the big thing I think as well is that car had significant damage in the rear from an incident in Bathurst in race 2 with Enzo Cheng fighting for that sort of podium. And I think he probably took a little bit of time to settle back into the setup he likes in that car. Probably wasn't exactly where he wanted it to be at the start, but clearly now it's working well for him and he's obviously getting his eye back in. But I think that's probably the main thing for him, is just getting the eye in at Phillip Island with the car setup. Rick
Armstrong arriving at Phillip Island, leading Trofeo Pirelli after his first ever Ferrari Challenge round. About 20 years of experience and lots of success across the ditch in New Zealand, including GT championships, and he has already eked out a 3.4 second lead. Nice start by Rick Armstrong.
And for Rick, the bonus point for pole position for Ernst obviously doesn't affect him not being there race one, sorry. So Rick has still got a 2 to 3 point lead over Enzo in the championship right now as well. So with Enzo sitting currently in 5th place, it's a healthy little margin he's going to build here in the championship.
Enzo's a couple of seconds behind Jim Policina too. I thought while we're talking about Gattani, we know that this is a step for Enzo, but the form he showed in 2025 left us in no doubt he was ready for this moment. But I mean, has the inclusion of Rick Armstrong and people like that and Ernst Kirschmeier, it's taken the tempo, the competitiveness of that group in Trofeo Pirelli, it's stepped it, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily caught them off guard, but it's definitely shown them that there is more potential in the cars than they were probably extracting from them initially. So now things like setups and data sharing are being a little bit more protective in pit lane. Everything's getting a little bit more competitive within the same teams, which is obviously a fun one to try and manage. But from the car point of view and the driver point of view, everybody has really stepped their game up in terms of their intent on track.
We do need to, as Enzo does seem to get a little bit closer to the likes of Jim here and Antoine Gattani, we do need to remember that it was his first season of racing, wasn't it, in Competition in 2025, first kind of year of proper door-to-door competition. And when you walked into the garage and watched him in action and the way that he engaged with the coaches and so on, he was into this 11 tenths in every way, wasn't he?
Absolutely, and you know, between events he would go and do test days, but also he's got other cars in his sort of collection that he would go and drive that are very, very quick track cars. So he was getting lots of seat time and lots of time on, you know, simulators and training and so on. So he was really all in on the racing.
He's made some ground here. He's getting closer to Jim and Gattani as they battle away for that third spot. That's what they're eyeing up, those two. Kirschmeier's not all that far up the road. That gives you a real look at the gap to the Zagami Autosport entry of Kirschmeier. Meantime, Armstrong has disappeared underneath the Melbourne Bridge. He's already at Doohan Corner.
Half the length of the front straight and watching out the commentary box window. But I think one of the things that might be interesting to sort of monitor over the next couple of laps now as we're getting a bit of pace in the cars and progressing into it is the fact that we have started on that green tyre. There is no opportunity to bleed that tyre down. What I mean by that is release some of that initial air pressure out to try and manage the peak pressure of the tyre. And I think some of these drivers are going to be pushing probably beyond their capability on that tyre right now. We might see their progress sort of fall away. So there might be a bit of shuffling going on with these 4 cars here over the next sort of 5 or 6 laps.
That's a good discussion, isn't it, between the likes of a JP Messenger or whoever the engineer might be that they're working with, and the coaches around what a good optimal starting pressure is. But I mean, as you can see from that shot there, it's 180 degrees different, not only in temperature terms, of what we were confronted with this morning. So you're taking it's not a gamble because it's calculated with those sort of people in your corner, But you've got to think about the fact that it's a 30-minute race and so on, and how to have it at its absolute optimum toward the end.
That's right, and also it's about being, with the coaches and the engineers supporting them, being able to manage that when the tyre does start going off and the performance goes away. Talking to your driver and reminding them of some techniques on how we can manage that tyre at 85% of its potential, but for the whole race, as opposed to peaking at 100 and then falling down to 50% or something like that. So it really is a way of sort of trying to manage the car, and potentially Enzo, he's always been quite mature with his thinking. He might just be waiting to see how these guys in front go, and with 5 laps to go, might have a real run at them.
Can we just say to everybody, competitors especially, but even those guiding them in the background, the way everyone behaved in qualifying in those tricky conditions was very good this morning.
Oh, it was sensational. I mean, to be as close as they all were in times as well, but the changing conditions, fact it was raining at the start, then it stopped raining but slightly dried up, then it rained a bit more, and then it poured at the very end. But to see our drivers sort of peak at the end of that session was quite amazing. So everyone did a fantastic job, and as I said, we've been rewarded with these fantastic conditions this afternoon.
Lots of pride in it too for the dealers and for Continental Cars in New Zealand. They're thrilled at the moment because it's the Kiwi Rick Armstrong who's leading the way at the moment from Ernst Kirschmeier. And Ernst, of course, is running with Zagami Autosport, who are very well known here in Victoria. And Antoine Gattani is the reigning champion for Ferrari Sydney. But that spot that he holds at the moment, Antoine, is very much under pressure. Some almost identical sector times popping up from Gattani, Pollicina and Cheng. Cheng actually is the fastest of those three at the moment. So what you're talking about, it's only incremental, it's only small, but he perhaps has done exactly what you're talking about. Just wait, just gradually chip away at these guys. And look at how close he is there now.
And you benefit with these long straights as well. You can kind of get a good toe, so you can close that gap a little bit more easily on the straights and obviously in the corners. So conserve the tyres when you can and use the slipstream around here to really sort of help cover that margin off.
Need to keep a little eye on the copper shell class as well. Amel Norton is leading the way there. He's in 7th outright at the moment, ahead of David Trewern, who we were talking about before. Taguchi-san in 10th outright, is 3rd in that copper shell class.
And for me as well, Ross Tremaine in 488 for Pirelli. Like, awesome job. He was like super pumped after qualifying, tough conditions. He's never been in conditions like that before in these cars, and he was sort of impressed with himself for just getting through it. But he's just been improving every session, every time as well. In that older gen car, which we love, it does not mean to sound like a negative when we say that, but he's ahead of Baby K, who's in the copper shell class. When you look at the outright ladder that you can see there, good job. Yeah, he's really loving the driving as well, and he's a good cat to have around the pits as well. He's always up for a laugh and a chat. Good stuff. 8.1 seconds. This is a mighty performance at the moment from Rick Armstrong. Kirschmeier's we could sense it in the interview with Charlie a little earlier today after qualifying. Very competitive, the way that he's sort of wired. It's going to be interesting to see the way he debriefs this and looks ahead to tomorrow, because the great thing as a part of the Shannon Speed Series, the inclusion of Ferrari Challenge in that, is that we get to do it all again tomorrow. Get to go qualifying and racing once again. A lot of learnings out of Saturday. Speaking of Charlie, let's go to her now in the lane.
Thanks, Rusty. I thought I'd try and get a little bit of insight, because Jim Pollicina, Enzo Cheng, there's a bit of a battle pack going on, so who better than to give us some insight than his coach, Sam Brabham. Sam, talk us through Jim. He's been doing this a while, but of course, battling with Enzo Cheng, he doesn't make it easy for anyone. No, not at all. Jim's been really strong. Bathurst, he had a great round, and his sort of race experience, I think, is probably going to come to the fore, I hope. He's got a lot of experience in comparison to the guys around him who are super fast and they're learning their trade. But Enzo's really fast, the Bathurst team right at the front. So he's got a battle on his hands. The four of them seem to be right in a gap between each other, just trying to fight for make his way up to the front of it as well. Let's quickly touch on Ross Tremaine as well, because he scored his class pole this morning. You could see it meant an awful lot to him, especially in those conditions, and he's another driver that you're working with. Yeah, he was raptured. It's his first year of proper racing, and at Bathurst he just learned a lot. It's such a tough place to go for the first time, especially in a car like this. It's so fast, but first pole position for him is a couple of seconds up the road, and now in the race he had maybe not the best start, but he's cleared the gap, and now he's just getting into his work. We're working. He's so hard on himself, which I love, because it means that he's just so passionate about making himself better, and that's a massive part of the process for a lot of these guys to keep improving them as drivers and as people as well in their racing journey too. So well, I took you away from the screen, so you can get back to it now.
That's right, thank you so much.
And one of the things you'll notice is that Enzo Cheng has moved into 4th place while that chat was happening there.
Just in a big move by Amon Lord there through turn 11, I think on Adnan Sibai as well. So there's a bit of movement happening further up there in sort of 6th and 7th outright position. Not racing for class necessarily, but still it shows that Amon has got a fair bit of pace. And another big dice happening with David Trewern down the front straight as well. This is Damien Hamilton.
Really impressive. Good sort of summary there from Renato. And while that's happening, you can see the unmistakable, that powder blue, that beautiful blue colour, which is so different, so distinctive amongst the red and black entries, the yellows that we see in Ferrari Challenge. That is how we distinguish Enzo Cheng. He's moved into 4th place and now is about to go to battle with Antoine Gattani, as he did in 2025 so memorably. And they have closed, the pair of them, on the back of Kirschmeyer as well. So this is going to be a fantastic fight. We are just over the half race distance in this first one of the weekend, and they're all going at it in the fight for 2nd place.
And if you remember the last time that Kirschmeyer and Gattani actually did battle together, Kirschmeyer did end up in the tyre barriers up at the cutting at Bathurst, so it didn't end well from there. So he's probably got a point to prove with Antoine this time around.
Just to come back there too, Sam Brabham, that's a name that is synonymous with Australian motorsport. His dad, David, was with us for the Australian Grand Prix, and we celebrated the inclusion of the BT19, famously driven by his legendary grandfather, Sir Jack. It was the 100th inductee into the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame. So wonderful to have Sam Brabham here with us trackside and offering some guidance from his own experience as a racer. We'll continue with this here, and you're looking at some numbers too, aren't you?
Yeah, Enzo Cheng just lit up the timing screens with the purple sectors there, so he's obviously got some pace in that car and he really wants to make his way forward. And he did have a little look up the inside there just over Lukey Heights before, but I think he's probably now at that point where he's sort of moving to the 2nd phase of the race, where he wants to extract that performance out of the tyre in the latter stages.
So what sort of things then are the likes of Zagami Autosport telling Kirschmeyer? What are they telling Antoine Gattani from MC Corsa in order to combat that?
Oh, I can see Kirkmeyer there running very, very deep into Siberia as well, but we've got the ability to play with ABS and traction control, and these conditions from the start of the race, I think ABS would have all been on setting 1, which is our new slick dry conditions, but I think other drivers will be managing their tyres a little bit using our 2 traction control systems, which is effectively when the system kicks in and how much it does when it kicks in, to try and avoid sliding the tyres too much, hurting the rear tyres specifically. And around here, the front right tyre with high load and high speed, it does build up pressure and heat, obviously more than the left-hand side. So there are some management ways, management techniques with the traction control system for that, but it's also probably a case of the old adage of eyes forward. Don't look in your mirrors, don't look in your camera, just focus on what's in front of you and trying to be as quick as possible. But there's a bit of a freight train happening here, so 4 guys all going very, very quick in the minute 31s, right on the back of each other.
Oh, look at this in the background. Jim has a little look at return serve on Enzo Cheng. That's actually a really nice point that you make there before too. Whilst as a driver, it's an amazing place to cut a lap in a race car. In the same breath, it's a very demanding place in lots of different ways, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's a very much right side dominant in terms of the load on the car. All the left-hand turns are pretty much high speed and high load and long duration. So, with the aerodynamics, big move up the inside here, and Enzo Cheng from Jim Policina obviously saw that there wasn't enough space to get that through, but at the same time, you don't want to lose your momentum. So he's going to have a bigger look and a better look at Enzo next time through. But back to that point, the left-hand turns here being long duration, it really does work that front right tyre much harder than the front left tyre. So you would tend to, with GT cars, we tend to stagger the setup a little bit, meaning we would potentially align and set up the right-hand side of the car a little bit different to the left. Nothing like NASCAR do with longer chassis on one side or the other, but very much the alignment of the car.
Great shot from the drone as they get to MG corner. Antoine Gattani is pacey here. The car dances a little bit on the change of direction there, but he set it up on the outside. Watch this here as they go into the final turn. It gets by Ernst, and he's up into 2nd place now, Antoine Gattani.
And Ernst is going to have lost a lot of momentum there, just watching out the window as well. I think that Enzo Cheng's now going to have a good run on him, but Jim Policina has got the run down the left-hand side here. It's going to set him up towards turn 2 if he can hold that position.
little safety dab of the brakes just to know that the pedal's there before you go into Doon corner. And they've got, I mean, you've talked about traction control before. In a braking sense, there's lots of good support in these cars, isn't there?
Yeah, they have a fantastic ABS system as well, which kind of gives them 4 settings to play around with. But ultimately, the carbon ceramic brakes that these cars have, most of the other cars here this weekend are running a steel braking package, but Ferrari Challenge uses a carbon ceramic system, so it really deals well with like high heat and long duration, but doesn't lose any of the pedal feel. And on the point of pedal feel, these cars actually have a fly-by-wire brake pedal, very much like Formula One. So that allows us with that brake bias to do electronically a few things that you couldn't normally do, i.e. biasing and things like that via electronics.
Is Ernst starting to struggle here? Because Gattani has bolted. The moment he's been able to clear him, perhaps held up, you know, that's on Antoine to get by him. Ernst is more than entitled to hold that spot, but you can already see he's cleared out Antoine Gattani. The gap is back down to 8.6 seconds. I think Rick Armstrong had it to nearly 10 or just over 10 seconds before. What have we got left? 8 minutes remaining. That's a big ask to close down 8 seconds.
Yeah, and I think Rick's going to be starting to battle more and more with traffic as this race kind of goes to a conclusion. So that gap could whittle down. It really is going to now depend on how Antoine goes with that same traffic when he gets up to whether he gets a gain or he sort of loses the same time.
Enzo Cheng. And yes, it is Enzo for that reason. So he's a little frustrated here too, because I think he knew once Gattani started to head off that he had to clear Ernst, and he's not been able to do that. So we're seeing a bit of that lap traffic that Renato talked about. They're around. They get by. That Tony Baldwin, I think, is that view from on high there as they work their way down towards Miller Corner. Again, can Enzo not quite close enough there? Big break required. Now he's going to try and sneak down the inside. Ernst maybe a little bit wide at turn 4, runs over the curbing. Enzo Cheng, I think, will be through. Oh, what a big dive back. He comes back, sends it, and now Jim goes around.
Jim had a big look up the inside, thought he had the opportunity there with Ernst sort of going deep into the corner. But these cars also, you need to have the traction control flicked off to do. You can see he tried to flick spin then. You're going to quickly turn the traction control off to flick the car around as well.
That camera shot actually does show you that the camber in that corner. So what's unfolded there for him? He's not got greedy, but he saw opportunity, jumped, but just...
And I think Enzo's, you know, done as he's able to there, close the door on the gap that Jim had, and by lifting off, the car has just rotated. It's you know, they do have ABS, but that to me just looked like he's lifted off very aggressively to obviously avoid contact. Didn't want to do the wrong thing by Enzo, and he's backed out, but unfortunately lost the position there.
This is going to be a fabulous fight for third place to the line. 6 minutes remaining in this race. Now, Gattani is flying because he's cut the lead down to 6.2 seconds. What was his last lap time by? It was a 1 minute 31. Rick Armstrong's in the 33s. So is that traffic that you're talking about? Is that just managing the situation? Let's keep an eye on what Armstrong does in response here.
And I could even see them, we saw before from that fantastic drone shot coming out of turn 10, how much Enzo's car was struggling to put power down. And just then I've seen it twice now in 2 corners, his car really wiggling in the rear. So I think that case of pushing the tyre a bit too hard, not being able to pressure down, is actually sort of playing against Enzo here a little bit with the attack that he's got.
We know the drone pilot, Andrew, don't pump his tyres, mate.
He probably had a quiet morning with all the clouds and rain around, so he's earning his keep now.
Cappuccino and set back, didn't he? Exactly. So, all right.
But you can see now it's getting really busy with other cars as they're approaching sort of traffic now. So it's an interesting situation for them to have this battle going on, but also catching up to these other cars.
Classy drive from Enzo Cheng. The question remains, can he get by Ernst Kirchmeier there for third spot in this race? He's had a couple of goes. Ernst was so brave in the way that he fought back after that moment at turn 4. So Armstrong's lead is down to 5.2 seconds.
at my guess as well, Rick's got about 3 cars that are probably going to become a traffic issue for him in the next 4.5 minutes, looking at the track from here. So I suspect there might be a couple of opportunities for Antoine to really close that gap.
Last time by, Gattani did a 1 minute 31.59. Now Rick's back into the 32, so there is a response of sorts. But what might be actually happening here is that the experience that Rick has quite often from, you know, our half-hour style races across the ditch in New Zealand, where he's been racing in Somerset GTNZ, that might be coming to the fore here, just looking after it, just managing it, knowing that the end goal is still 4 minutes away. So Antoine Gattani gets by the lap competitor, but it stays at about 5 seconds. We'll keep an eye on it. That actually tells you in real terms what the margin is like as Rick goes over the top of Lukey Heights and down to MG Corner. That's second place there. Car 1, Antoine Gattani. Hamel Norden has done an amazing job. He is 5th outright. Obviously, Jim had the spin before, but he's been able to get that car, not only just leading the Copper Shell class, but 5th outright.
It's an exceptional drive by Amel, and obviously Jim is now sort of clawing that back as well, so he's going to have, in my opinion, he would just let Jim pass, which he's just done now on track. But it's a fantastic drive by Amel. He's really sort of held his own and gapped his class as well quite considerably.
I think we got a shot before of Ross Termaine as well. We should say well done, because at the moment he is leading the 488 class comfortably ahead of Taguchi-san, Baby K, who are in Copper Shell. But importantly, Termaine is in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome result for him. He's done such a great job this morning in those tough conditions and being rewarded now with a great result in the race as well.
Here's Enzo again, so has dropped back maybe a car length on Ernst Kirchmeier as we count down towards the end of this, and they continue to fight over 3rd place. Has Enzo got something? Can he be in the ideal position? Maybe on that last lap or two, gets a little slide on out of Miller Corner. 275 there, that's Rob Steele, isn't it? So the Kiwi, who's come across to play as well. Good story that. We've seen him in competition over the ditch. Nice to welcome some of the Kiwis to...
I think they've looked at what Rick's doing and thought, oh, we can have a go at that as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Just watching them coming over Lukey Heights now. Enzo having a very, very big look.
There's Amel Norden. So we've been singing the praises of the job that he's been doing in the 100. Not only leads the Copper Shell class in an excellent performance, but Jim's been able to get by him again. So it's 6th outright now, but that's still a very impressive drive. Back we go to the front. And Rick Armstrong. We just need to keep an eye on Gattani. The timing monitor says 5.9 seconds. So he's been able to, and looking at the lap times, in fact, he's gone slightly faster than Antoine Gattani last time by. So he's managing and managing well.
And it's a reminder to our viewers as well, these races are 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So there's probably a couple of laps left here for Enzo to really size up an opportunity to sort of make a move on Ernst. But I think Ernst definitely looks like he has his measure at the moment.
Has the driving standards department had a quiet weekend so far? Has it been okay? I think
so, yeah. There was a couple of minor issues in practice, but otherwise everyone's done the right thing in qualifying this morning.
Good.
But again, you know, with our driver coaches and engineers, having someone like Steve Owen of his experience as driving standards advisor, he's obviously, you know, in his official role when the races are on, the sessions are on, but outside of that, he's a mentor to our drivers as well.
And that's the thing I like about engaging someone like him and you know, the nature that we know Steve has generally. I mean, he's got to enforce a rule at the end of the day if something does go wrong, and he can't sort of shy away from that. But he does, you know, generally take a real kind of coaching approach to it, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a very calm mind in obviously race control, but at the same time, he does have the ability to step back and kind of look at all the factors in consideration here with effectively an amateur driver series. He does sort of look at everything kind of holistically and also provides a whole bunch of advice to our drivers on the way in which to handle those situations.
We're on air until about 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time this afternoon. We've got lots of good racing still to come your way here as a part of the Shannon Speed Series. Live coverage at Phillip Island on Foxtel and KO in this country and around the world on the Ferrari YouTube channel for this particular race. So Rick Armstrong now 7.4 seconds. Not only has he managed, he has responded. He's got the quickest lap of the race as well with a 1 minute 30.195. We're counting down to the end of this race. Good performance from the Kiwi.
And worth noting as well, Rusty, that we've got a 1 point bonus as well for our best lap.
That's some sprinkles of rain on that camera, I think, down off the coastline there. Maybe Siberia or in the Stoner Corner area, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. You can, even looking at a commentary window, you can see a little bit of that kind of haze coming in from the ocean. So with less than 40 seconds plus 1 lap to go, this could really throw things into the mix.
Heading through the final corner. Really good performance from Rick Armstrong. Now, there are a couple of people in the series in New Zealand that he regularly competes in that were talking to him about this class and maybe getting involved. He's typically, certainly in recent years, been driving a German mark, but having spoken with him after Bathurst, he really has enjoyed the move in to come and compete in this, and it's, you know, he's a successful businessman. This is another really good challenge for him, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Pun intended, Rusty. But we're definitely seeing rain come down now quite hard in the commentary box. So I think it's definitely coming in from the sort of turn 2 side of the circuit at the moment. So this could really, really throw things into the mix.
Rick will be eager just to get this done now. We are, as you can see, on our final lap into Miller Corner for the last time. This has been a great drive. They'll be thrilled at MC Corsa with this. Antoine Gattani, the reigning champ's been able to get to within 7.3 seconds. We've got a bit of rain on the commentary box window, so that is coming in as Renato's detailed off the Basque coast there and starting to make its way, breeze its way across Siberia and those parts of the circuit. So Rick's only got a few corners left to run. All he's got to do is bring it home now. Kirchmeier looks like he's got the edge, albeit by a few tenths on Enzo Cheng, but we'll just keep a little watch on that as they get it to the finish line. Mother Nature playing its part. It was beautiful for the bulk of this race, and I think Rick has just wisely eased off a little bit, knowing that he's got buffer, he's got margin. He can just bring this to the line. The MC Corsa squad will be thrilled. It's the New Zealander, Rick Armstrong, who wins race 1 of the weekend here in Ferrari Challenge at the island. Superb stuff, and continues the story that he basically started at Mount Panorama, didn't he, by arriving as the leader of Trofeo Pirelli after his first ever challenge round there. Nice job.
And look at Enzo Cheng crossing the line just now, the smallest of margins to earn. So great drive by both of them to get through in those tough conditions at the end. 2 tenths, the pair of them, as they cross the line. So Ernst gets it in the end, but that's a solid piece of driving from Enzo Cheng. And Emil Norden will win the Copper Shell class, 7th outright. And Tamain should, once they've crossed the line and greeted the flag, in 10th outright, take the 488 class. Yeah, that's an awesome drive by him. He'll be absolutely stoked with that.
Oh, here we go. It's not over until they get to the finish line. This little reminder here.
That's Trofeo Pirelli in Copper Shell. So wise move by David there to stay out of that argument with Adnan on the final turn and the run to the checkered flag.
Good stuff from Ferrari Challenge to start their weekend here at Phillip Island. And the great thing is, for the likes of Enzo Cheng, who can go away and will go away and have a good think about what's unfolded in this one, what can he bring to the table on Sunday, because we get to do it all again in this class. Recap of the results for you, and well done to Continental Cars in New Zealand. Rick Armstrong will win the race from Antoine Gattani. Kirchmeier, the Austrian, gets home in 3rd by just 2 tenths of a second in the end from Enzo Cheng. Jim Pollicina recovers to be 5th from Hamilton, Norden, and David Trewern inside the top 10. Tamain taking out the 488 class. Highlights for you of the first one of the weekend for Ferrari Challenge, and it began on a day of changeable weather under nice clear skies at the island. Rick Armstrong would wrestle the lead from Ernst Kirchmeier as they went down into turn 1. Ernst, I think, just feeling the pressure and maybe on that colder tyre going wide at Dewan Corner. That was all the opportunity that Armstrong needed, and he set about building a lead of almost 10 seconds. Behind him, there was quite a battle ensuing for 3rd place that included Gattani, Kirchmeier, Enzo Cheng and Jim Pollicina. It was nice gradual, nice, smart, classy driving from the reigning Copper Shell champion in Enzo Cheng, who stepped up a grade this year. And they would eventually, certainly Gattani seemed to have a quicker car, but he was not able to easily clear Ernst Kirschmeier, who would fight tooth and nail to hang on to that third place. We thought that Enzo Cheng had it at this point, but he just absolutely fired it back up at Siberia, and then the door would ultimately close for Jim Pollicino. Around he went. Up in front, the gap whittled down to about 5 seconds for Rick Armstrong, but he was able to just control it, building it back out to 7.2 seconds as the rain returned, but Armstrong took the checkered flag. All right, we're about to take you down into to victory lane there. Nice work by Rick Armstrong. And very close in that fight for third in the end, 0.2 of a second between Ernst and Enzo Cheng. But we've by and large had the entire field returning to lane with the lane without a scratch, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable looking at commentary window now in terms of the start of the race and that recap video. You know, bright blue skies and sun out at the start of the race and kind of grey skies in area and rain at the end of it, and that's only in 30 minutes. So it's a remarkable effort by everyone to bring the cars back in one piece.
All right, let's take you down to victory lane. Now here's Charlie.
Thank you, gents. Congratulations, Rick Armstrong. You took over the lead and you just kept going.
Yeah, it was the perfect start, wasn't it? I thought he had me on the start, but he ran a bit wide, so I just managed to sneak through at the start, and I knew I had to put a few good laps together at the start to get a bit of a gap, and we got lucky enough to get away and just kept going, and it was a magic race, no safety cars, so played into my hands a little bit. So it was a good race. The car felt pretty good. Towards the end of the race, I slowed down a little bit just to manage the car. But yeah, very happy to win. Looking forward to having another win tomorrow.
Very nice when you've got that luxury where you can sort of take your foot off the pedal a little bit and kind of enjoy around the circuit. But as you came in, the rain has begun again, so we managed to time it quite well.
Yeah, I mean, the rain started, so perfect timing really. Towards the end of the race, I was like starting to worry, but we managed to get the race done. Very happy to win, and the guys, I understand they were fighting quite a bit behind me, which probably played into my hands a little too, so it was a good race.
Congratulations, enjoy that win.
Thank you.
Let's head over to our Copper Shell class winner as he hops out of the car. I'll just give him a moment to get himself all aligned. Emil Nordin. What a ripper day he has had. Class pole as well for him. That's what you want on a Saturday. Gents, I'll just jump in there if that's okay. Dean Canto comes and gives him a big hug. You can see this one means a lot. Emil, oh my gosh, you just said finally.
Finally. I mean, I'm still new, but man, I've been working hard, and I just had to get in there. I don't know. It's amazing, amazing. I'll never forget this. First win.
Awesome. And talk us through that hard work. Well, what have you been doing to make this moment happen?
Learning to be patient. I'm notorious for being impatient. I know I can do it, but then waiting for the opportunity and not stuffing it up myself. And yeah, I was happy today.
You earned it, you go and enjoy it.
Sorry?
You've earned it, you go and enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And last but not least, our 488 class winner, Ross, I get to see you again. You did a great job. Don't walk away from me. Let's come closer to your beautiful race car. You've got it is a bit pretty, he says. You got the pole and now the win to boot. That's a great start to your Saturday.
So much, yeah, it was great. First time on some green tyres, so we like those. We'd like to have a few more of those.
Green tyres and dry conditions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Talk us a little bit through your race.
So the race was good. It was quite chaotic at the start, but I tried to remain relatively measured and just sort of let a couple of guys go, and then knew where my pace was, and then just had a bit of fun. A couple of great passes, and it was nice to have some good battles with some good races, so appreciate it.
Fantastic. Enjoy that podium.
Yes, thank you.
What a great way to end your Saturday if you are in the Ferrari Challenge Australasia. Smiling faces all round, plenty of action here to come at the Lukumoni GT Festival. Phillip Island will take a short break. We'll be back very soon.